Thank you very much. Please sit down. What Dr. Becker didn't tell you is that as Chief Justice, I take orders from a few people. One of them is my girlfriend. The other one is my official photographer. He orders me around all the time. Before I say anything, let me make a disclaimer. In my mother tongue, we don't have a few letters of the alphabet. So if my pronunciations falter, if I meet you, we don't have L, we don't have J, we don't have P, and quite a few letters. So if you are introduced to me and I say, it is my pleasure to meet you, please understand where I'm coming from. Thank you, Dr. Becker, for those kind remarks. The Chancellor of Africa, Adventist University of Africa, Dr. Uguli, the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Becker, members of the faculty. You see, those are the kind of orders I was talking about. Graduates, parents, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you, Dr. Becker, for those kind remarks. I'm honored and humbled that the Adventist University of Africa saw it fit to award me a honorary degree at today's graduation ceremony. That's not all. My additional privilege this morning is being asked to make the commencement speech at my own graduation. That does not happen often. I wanted to thank you, Dr. Becker, for this honor. Let me start by appreciating each one of you fellow graduates for your commitment to the pursuit of education. You have endured much to reach this singularly rewarding day, a day when your families and friends, as well as your lecturers, and indeed everyone here at the Adventist University of Africa, shares in your collective accomplishments and the tremendous promise of your futures. My hearty congratulations to all of you. As I said, I would like to thank Adventist University of Africa for the honor they are about to bestow upon me, which I accept with great humility, knowing that even though we are here today graduating with you, you have no doubt worked much harder for your degrees than I have for mine. You've of course reached here with considerable help from many quarters. There were your family members providing moral and perhaps even financial support, student colleagues providing social and intellectual support, and your lecturers, of course, who have helped you turn your flattering dissertation ideas into discourses that were good enough to earn you a seat at today's ceremony. I want to congratulate all of them. We all know that university education is not only opens one's mind to fit in the complex multicultural and socio-economic global society, it also enables one to secure employment, both locally and abroad. In a sense, it makes you more viable as a citizen of the world. And it enables you to even influence global affairs. As Nelson Mandela once remarked, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Education is the key to eliminating gender inequality, to reducing poverty, to creating sustainable planet, to preventing needless deaths and illnesses, and fostering peace," end of quote. On his part, Martin Luther urged that education, and I quote, "should be considered one of the highest virtues on earth." Indeed, education remains the best engine of social mobility, especially here in Africa, where great disparities exist between children depending on the economic standing of their parents. One child grows up on a fast-speed internet and fancy laptops, and these days, of course, even the iPhone 10, in exactly the same way as his age mates in New York. The other huddles every evening around a dying fire to read a tattered book. Yet, the journey of their lives could end up meeting in a manner that makes it impossible to tell who started off at an advantage. I probably know this better, and I'm sure quite a number of you here share my experience. When I was growing up in Nyamira, the typical child of rural peasants, with all the deprivations of poverty, but I must add, with all the beauty of rural innocence, I would never have imagined that one day I would be standing here in front of you, providing, in quotes, nuggets of wisdom at such a profound occasion, or that I would be invited to world's leading universities, from Harvard to Oxford, to address them on their important occasions. Education, therefore, is the big enabler, the big equalizer that neutralizes many of the disadvantages we encounter at the start of the race and gives us the chance to compete with those that appeared almost unassailable on account of their privileged background. Fellow graduates, your presence here today tells me a couple of important things about you. One, that you truly value and appreciate education, for that must be why you chose to pursue graduate studies. You could have chosen to end your education with your first degree, like many other people have done. Many of you already have thriving careers, which means you could have resorted to the usual complacency that makes us assume we have finished school upon obtaining our first degree. Secondly, the fact that you chose Adventist University of Africa as your graduate school tells me that you are not merely looking for education. You also wish to receive the ammunition that you require to serve the Almighty, with even greater competence. And in addition, you wish to concretize your moral and ethical foundation in a manner that only an Adventist institution can do. It is a fact that human ambition seeks knowledge that will bring glory and self-exaltation. But an Adventist institution such as this university seeks to offer true and wholesome education. As Ellen G. White wrote many years ago, true education means more than the perusal of a certain course of study. It means more than a preparation for the life that is now. It has to do with the whole being and with the whole period of existence possible to man. It is the harmonious development of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual power, end of the quote. I believe this university has taught you, among other things, to be people of unwavering integrity, and that is no doubt the most valuable asset you can ever acquire. Ladies and gentlemen, the privilege of the degrees you receive here today imposes the moral obligation to traverse the world with the purpose of finding solutions to the immense challenges that afflict society and mankind. Unlike in the lecture rooms where you received specific instructions about how things work or are supposed to work, each of you will have to find your own unique ways of navigating through the challenges that beset the world. John Stuart Mill, speaking at the University of St. Andrews in the UK about a century and a half ago, said, and I quote, "Universities are not only intended to teach the knowledge required to fit men for some special mood of gaining their livelihood. Their object is not only to make skillful lawyers or physicians or engineers, but capable and cultivated human beings," end of quote. I can't agree more, other than to add that the object of postgraduate education is to make you more capable and more cultivated human beings. Yes. Postgraduate education is invariably designed to produce intellectual self-reliance, to teach you how to learn, how to take charge of your thoughts, and how to direct them in an independent, analytical, and creative manner. Many times what you have learned is not as important as what you do with that knowledge. Good postgraduate education is designed to help improve your understanding, independence of judgment, and the ability to distinguish the true from the seemingly true. These are the qualities that you take away along with your degree. They are the qualities that will sustain you in a world that changes by the day. The reality of this change is such that you will probably hold positions in your lifetimes that we cannot even imagine today. This has already happened to people around us. We have managers today in charge of IT departments, yet there were no computers by the time they completed their university degree. The functional skills that you have acquired and been tested on, and today being certified, will in all probability have to be rewarded and reacquired, renewed and reacquired. The ability to renew yourself, therefore, is the critical lesson that I hope you all have learned and have learned very well. Ladies and gentlemen, as I drafted my speech, I had to bear in mind that I'm not making a commencement address in an ordinary public university. Many of you are already servants of the Most High, who have been charged with the sacred responsibility of the gospel mission in Matthew 28, verse 18 to 20. And more so, urging the apocalyptic mission of the world, the three angels' message in Revelation 14, verse 1 to 12. Your influence should not only be through your sermons, but even more through your deportment and lifestyles. The audience judges you more on your lifestyle than on your sermons. Yours is a sacred but an onerous responsibility of leading the world to Christ. That being the case, you know what you are up against: the devil. Rest assured that he will do all in his power to thwart your endeavors. But you should know better than anybody else that with Christ on your side, you are already more than conquerors. So you should never waver. It will be a tragedy if you were to lose focus on Christ and instead of leading the flock to the kingdom, you become a stumbling block. The Bible is clear about what will happen if you do that. Ezekiel 33 verse 8 tells us that the Lord will seek the wicked dead's blood from your hands. With such a sacred responsibility in a world whose conscience has completely been seared and morality lost, a world where accumulation of wealth through corruption is seen as ingenious and heroic, living in a world where glorification of vice and indifference to the virtues has become the norm, living in a world where glorification of consumerism, violence, and immorality in the media is commonplace, a world that has not even spared its environment and is now staring at calamities due to the depletion of the ozone layer, and worst of all, a world where, and I'm included in this, our lackadaisical Christianity has not only emboldened the enemies of Christ in their assertion that biblical truth is relative, but also permitted the exponential spread of and infiltration even into our own congregations of the New Age movement. This world yearns for honest leaders whose words will be congruent with their actions, people who are true to their core values. In a nutshell, the world today is seeking women and men of towering integrity. These are not the traits of an ordinary church worker. They are character traits of authentic pastors who are converted Christians and who are able to invariably and effortlessly command the confidence of their congregations. As I have stated, authentic pastors are those who will preach the gospel more by their deportment and lifestyles than the sermons from the pulpits. I have no doubt that you are the men and women the world needs at a time such as this. Even if you did not take your first degree at an Adventist university, having undertaken your graduate studies at AUA, an institution whose primary function is not only to help its students find a saving relationship with our Lord Jesus Christ, but also set up to lead them to a long life dedication of service to others, an institution that endeavors to transmit a biblical value system, which, as we know, is strategic to the human thinking and behavior. You have the wherewithal required for your endeavors. All you need, by God's grace, is to remain converted Christians and never lose focus on the cross of Calvary. Unfortunately for you, this will require that you give your all. As Winston Churchill once stated, and I quote, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." I challenge each one of you, therefore, to give generously of your time, expertise, financial means, insights, and advice to others. Raise your sense of self-worth by giving a hand to someone else in need, and not just because they are a part of your congregation. The Christian ethic to which we all subscribe revolves around the golden rule. Serve as an engaged and committed mentor to someone whose life can be totally transformed just because they found a kind person to guide them through their career choices. Serve as engaged and committed pastors to the battered wives whose predicament makes them doubt whether there is a God in heaven. Befriend and transform the drug-ravaged youth who have been abandoned by society and have nobody to even talk to. You must be the mentors whose job is in many ways like that of a sculpture, chiseling at the raw stone and turning it into a towering work of art. You saw one here outside, which was dedicated, is it yesterday or the day before? Yesterday. The mentoring I have in mind is not simply giving advice about technical and stylistic matters, but taking personal interest in seeing that the person you are guiding does well in the most holistic manner, that they become reliable professionals their families and communities can count on, and are engaged in resolving their society's most intractable problems, such as our own monster called corruption. In doing so, you generate what economists would call a triple dividend. The first dividend is your own personal growth from assuming some responsibility for the development of others and getting the satisfaction of seeing them all do well. The second dividend is the success and the growth of your church. And the third is the betterment of your communities, societies, and as a result, the world at large. That way, you will have lived up to your class motto of making positive influence. Let me, however, warn you that it will not always be easy. The problems will be hard at times and the work difficult. And it won't always go according to plan. There is bound to be failure here and there. But listen to what Michael Jordan, the greatest basketballer player of all times, says about failure. And I quote, "I have missed 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost 900 games. 26 times I have been trusted to take the game winning shot, but missed. I have over and over and over again in my life failed. And that's why I succeed. What this means is that you must learn all you can from the failure experiences. Never give up. As Thomas Edison famously said, and I quote, "I have not failed. I have just found 10,000 ways that don't work." Ladies and gentlemen, the sacred duty of spreading the gospel is not only for these graduates, it is equally yours and mine, and even more so to those of us whom God has raised, literally from grass to grace. Let me once again thank the Adventist University of Africa for awarding me this honorary Doctor of Humane Letters degree, which I accept with humility and appreciation. This recognition emboldens me not only in my work as Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya, but also in my other engagements in the service of God and the people of Kenya. And to you, fellow graduates, congratulations once again. I wish you all the very best and success and God's blessings in the life ahead. Thank you all of you for listening to me. May God bless you.